Hello, artists. Let's talk about how to properly use watercolor paints. The watercolor paints we have start out dry in their palette. We need to activate the paint by getting it wet with a wet paintbrush. Gently rub the wet paintbrush over the color you're choosing to load the brush. That means the filling of the bristles with the paint. And once the brush is loaded, you're ready to paint onto the paper. Now, do you see these paints that appear to be empty? Well, the color around the edge is actually still paint. So if you use a wet paintbrush to gently rub on that color, then you can get some paint. All right, so sometimes our paints get really dirty, especially yellow. So to clean it, first you get your brush clean in the water, and then you wipe it on the paint. Then you rinse your brush and wipe it on the paint again and rinse your brush and repeat this until the paint is clean once more. Notice that watercolor paints in our classroom come with a lid. This is a perfect place to mix colors in. To mix colors, first you add one color to the lid in a small blob. Then you rinse out the brush and you make another blob in a different color. I'm thinking of making lime green. So I'm mixing a little bit of one of the colors with the other. I tested it out on a scratch piece of paper and I adjusted it to test it again. This is how I make and mix my own colors. Now, when using Respect in the Art Studio, always clean out the lid so that it's ready to mix new colors in soon. Maybe you can even clean the lid better than you found it. This is showing kindness to other artists in our studio. All right, let's also talk about our tempera cake paints. These are similar to watercolor. They start out dry. We need to use a wet paintbrush to activate the paint. Gently rub the brush across the colored area and you're ready to go. Artists observe. So I want you to observe the difference between watercolor paints and tempera cake paints. What do you see? What do you observe? Perhaps you try it on your own. Okay, so honestly, sometimes temper cake paints get cracked like this, and they start looking strange. But no worries, they still paint just the same. Gently rub bristles across any of the part that is colored. And now that your brush is loaded, you're ready to paint. It still works great. Yuck. Sometimes our paints get really dirty, just like the watercolors. This yellow is so dirty. You can barely see the yellow anymore. And artists take care of their paints. To clean it up, it's the same as watercolor. Wet your brush and wipe it over the paint. Clean the brush. Wipe it over the paint. Rinse the brush. Wipe it over the paint and repeat until it is clean. You can see how my first color was darker, and as I continued cleaning, it got lighter and became more yellow. Now, to mix colors with temper cakes, we can't do it in a lid because there isn't one. So instead, we're going to use a recycled palette from a recycled container. It's the same as watercolor. Put one blob on, clean your brush, put another blob on, and mix the two together. As an artist, it is your job to care for the materials by cleaning off this lid. You can first wipe it off with a paper towel, but also take it to the sink and rinse it off. Leave it to dry in one of those racks right above the sinks.